And just look at the red in this station. I mean, this is like a stage designer or set designer's wet dream right here. I feel like I'm inside Iron Man's anus. Ahoy, it's your boy. And we got a last minute invitation to come to Fudan University to see a lecture with one of the teachers. We're in the underground station for the subway system. There's about 3 lines that come together in this station near People's Square. And like just about everything in Shanghai, it's saturated in commerce. You can buy everything from wedding dresses to Slurpees to jewelry to glasses. So it's hard to find places in Shanghai that you go without having to go through a big shopping center. What you will see is how, well, first we have to buy a ticket. But what you will see is how every time you enter the subway, you have to go through a kind of airport style security. You'll have to ask yourself how you feel about that. Is that like an oppressive amount of security, or is that a good amount of security? You'll have to decide. So here's how you get your ticket. I chose English. Ultimately, we're going to line 18. We're going to Fudan University. I'm going to use the QR code payment. I think I'm supposed to blur that out. And I'm going to use WeChat to pay. Alright, 加油, 加油. Come on, come on. Alright, and the card comes out here. Alright, now we're ready to go. And also, one thing you'll notice is in Taipei, everyone who stands on the right. In Shanghai, that is the rule. You hear automated reporting say it all the time, but nobody ever does it. People have collectively decided that that's not what they're doing. Alright, and just look at the red in this station. It's this beautiful metallic red. Now, red is ubiquitous in Chinese culture. It means wealth and fortune. But the way that it's used here is so beautiful. Look at that. I mean, this is like a stage designer or set designer's wet dream right here. There's something imperial about it. It's very inspiring. When I stepped out of the station for the first time yesterday, I was so taken with it. Put our card through here. All right, easy peasy. There's also something about this red too, when I think from like a production design standpoint, it's very ambiguous. It's either very heroic like Iron Man, but it also has a potentially villainous quality to it as well. This could be the layer of the hero or the villain equally. Something to think about. Expansive. Look at that. I feel like I'm inside Iron Man's anus. And it's kind of cool. We're kind of coming out of the station at magic hour. We still have over an hour before lecture, so we'll let ourselves wander around campus. We won't be in any rush. We'll take our time. Beautiful gardens. The entire campus is actually gated in, and to enter the campus, you have to, every student has to swipe a card, or in my case, I have to present my passport. Whereas the University of California in Berkeley, where I went, it's an open campus on all sides. Anybody can walk onto campus at any time, which is both good and bad. It's good, meaning that it's a public space that's open to people. They can enjoy the campus. But if you've been to the campus of University of California at Berkeley, you know that there's a lot of, you know, I don't know how to say it without sounding pejorative, but there's people of questionable mental health or maybe a spectrum of mental wellness who are present on the campus, and they either yell and scream or make a spectacle or sometimes cause disruptions. But if you ask me, that's part of the color and the flavor of going to school there. This is one of the entrances. We're gonna go to the bigger one. Alright. 你好，我给你。
微信。
哦，好好。
先坐这啊，我来，这个我来。好，你可以进去了。
哦，谢谢。
不好意思，
没事。I don't know why he said it's okay, but that's fine. Maybe he thought it was too much of a hassle. We have the hammer and sickle. Where we're headed for lecture is actually these two towers here. Two towers here. We're headed to this tower. So as I walk here, I obviously think, you know, is this a future home for me? For a couple of years anyway. And honestly, still I don't know. Yesterday, I was really lucky that I'm here in Shanghai at a time where Professor Michael Pewitt, who teaches at Harvard, is visiting, and he gave a lecture yesterday. And when I got into Shanghai on Friday, I emailed the department and said, hey, I'm in town. If there's any chance I could come and visit and maybe sit in on the lecture, that'd be great. And they said, well, we happen to be having this talk from Professor Pewitt from Harvard. If you'd like to come, that'd be great. And I did, and introduced myself, and I think I asked a very impressive question at the end of the lecture, which I think made an impression. And the department head, in a very kind gesture of hospitality, invited me to come to lunch with Professor Pewitt and himself and some other teachers and a couple of the graduate students. So, you know, that was a great experience. And yet, even when I went home that night and I was thinking about it, I still felt like I don't have all the information I want to really make a decision. So I emailed them again and said, hey, is there any chance I could sit in on an actual lecture? And they said, yeah, come here tonight and sit in on a lecture from Professor, he's French, I'm going to butcher his name, it's like Vermandier, and he's actually a Jesuit, and he teaches here, so he's giving an English lecture tonight, which I'm going to be sitting in on. So, but this is the building, and the philosophy department is right about here somewhere. But look at this space. You know what's interesting though? It's just striking me now because we came from the souvenir store. At most university campuses in the United States, when you walk around campus, nearly everyone is wearing clothing of the university that they go to. In Berkeley, everyone's wearing Cal gear. At the University of Arizona, everyone's wearing U of A gear. I don't see a single person wearing a Fudan sweater or shirt or hat or anything like that. So that could be a bit of a difference. We've reached a point where the architecture feels much older. Now, if you had an entire campus that was just like this, that would be a hard place to say no to. You know, maybe it's a form of Orientalism or something, but I find this, you know, just earlier today when we were at U Garden, there's something about the old architecture that is very romantic and just feels very different. It's very alluring. Lovely. Wouldn't it be nice to go to class in a building like that? If I'm being honest, I think the building that we're housed in looks like a Hyatt hotel. You know, it's funny, there's so many electric vehicles here in Shanghai. When a car like that drives by and you hear the engine, it's actually a little, it stands out. All the scooters, most of the cars are electric. You know, people told me, oh, when you get to Shanghai, the air quality is going to be blah, you're going to get sick, blah. It hasn't been that way at all. Very eco-friendly. The public transportation is on point. Despite the crush of humanity and traffic, it's very quiet. You don't hear a lot of horn honking. Actually, look at that. There's a sign that says no horns. Let's maybe go left here. Bao Jesus. That's a lot of sneeze I've heard in China sometimes. Bao. It's like a war cry. Let's assume we're up on the second floor. Let's do that. Oh, look, lo and behold. Here's a cool set of stairs. Let's do that. That's much more fun than the elevator. Okay. Look at that. It has an electronic screen. Maybe you swipe in for attendance. Right, I'm gonna poke my head in. There's somebody else in there right now. All right. Well, it was a very interesting lecture, and I have a lot to think about, I think. But since we're headed back to downtown, I wanted to get one last look at this beautiful train station. If I don't end up going to school here, this will be the last time I see it. If I end up going to school here, I'm sure I'll be sick of it. But it was a very interesting lecture. The first part was kind of reviewing some reading they had already done about attentiveness in early Chinese philosophy. And there were quotes from the Analects and Lao Tzu and that type of stuff. And then the second part was about Taoist terminology, where we're looking at Zhuangzi. And as I'm walking in, I realized we need to buy a ticket. So it was very interesting. And the professor was very, very nice. So yeah, as I was sitting there, I was just thinking, oh man, I can really do this. But also, I've had a lot of reservation as I've been here as well. Just not really sure if Shanghai is the right fit for me. So I just got so much to think about. Anyway, I'll think about those things as I'm on the train here. So yeah, a lot to think about whether or not Shanghai is going to be the right fit for me. Obviously, you see me spending a lot of time with Dory. Dory's living in Taiwan. So anyway, a lot to think about. Let's give it up for one last beautiful look at this station. And this color red. I'll never forget this red. But anyway, I'll try to frame myself beautifully, as I say. Thanks for coming along on this trip with me. We'll do some fun stuff tomorrow, I'm sure. Look at these bathrooms. Look at these bathrooms are badass. God. Very cool. All right, get out of here.